What's going on, everyone? So, Luka Doncic, right? He could, not stick around with the Lakers. That's always a real possibility. Lakers would have him for another year. They'd have time to kind of figure it out. It's not something where it's like panic mode now. Now, look, I am somebody that stands by and believes Luka ain't going anywhere. He's not, right? Like, what reports are, which make the most sense, is that what he'll do is he'll sign a 3-year deal, like a 3-year extension, because if he does that, then what happens is now he'd be in the league at the time that's done 10 years. So then he gets the higher cap increase, right? So he'd make the most money. And after after Dallas ended up ruining any chance of him getting a supermax, financially speaking for him, it makes the most sense to kind of go that route. So chances are he'll stick around, sign a new contract with the Lakers. The reason I say chances are is because you never really know. Again, I'd be very shocked if Luka leaves, but he has that options on the table. He could sign that 3-year deal with anybody, but he signs that 3-year deal and then he would opt out of that depending on where the Lakers are, right? Then I could see maybe Luka leaving somewhere, right? Because he's looking at it as like, I'm 38 or 28, 29 years old, right? Like if Lakers haven't won a championship or they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing, maybe at that point, Lakers may be in a position where it's like, we might have to trade Luka or we might have to do something, whatever, right? I think that's a long time from now. The Lakers could win the next 4 championships. Who knows, right? A lot can happen between now and 3-4 years from now. I'm not worried about Luka leaving. I want to be very clear about that. However, there was a lot of talk and a lot of questions and a lot of like, does Luka and Jokic team up? Does Luka end up going, well, now I have no loyalties. Now I have no ties. Now I have nothing handcuffing me, to where I can't leave. And I could just, go to Denver, right? I could force a trade and, have the Lakers trade me there. Or I could just leave in free agency and sign and trade, whatever, right? Like, there is that possibility. That was something that was, concerning for many people, right? Got comments about it regularly from people that were like, hey, Tyler, like, do you think that there's any chance of this? Again, I didn't think so, right? But look, I've been wrong before. It happens. Not very often. No, but in all seriousness, right? Like, it is one of those things where you never know, right? They are besties. They are friends. It would be a lot of fun to see them play together. It'd be a lot of fun to see that duo team up. And Denver is this looming threat, right? Him and Jokic, they could go to Denver, win another championship in Denver, right? Like, is he Hollywood? Like, does he really care? Does he not? Right? There's things to it. However, the moment that Denver essentially just blew up their team, I think personally was the end of that happening, right? Jokic is now favored to land with the Lakers. I think that part of that is just, the fluff of it all, right? Like, I again, never say never, right? Lakers ended up landing Luka. So you never know, right? But I think if it was ever to happen, right, where Jokic was to come to Lakers, it would be at least 2 years from now when Jokic is going into the last year of his deal and he can kind of dictate where he wants to go or even sign outright with the Lakers. He has a player option. He could opt out of the player option, just go sign with the Lakers because LeBron could end up retiring in a year or two, or LeBron could sign for 2 years, end up retiring, you could replace LeBron with Jokic, right? That, I think, is a possibility, right? Especially depending on what Denver does and, how do they kind of go into this upcoming offseason, right? I think their championship aspirations are done. Look, you have Jokic. Never say never with Jokic on your team. Like, no one still wants to play Denver. I do. Like, I would love for the Lakers to play Denver. But, it's one of those things, right? Jokic is still Jokic. It doesn't really matter who the coach is. Doesn't really matter who the GM is. Jokic is still going to do Jokic things out there. He's still going to be a handful, and you're still going to have to deal with it, right? Like, so, again, I do have this. As far as the concerns of Luka leaving, I think we can put that to rest. Is Luka really going to leave the Lakers with LeBron, Austin Reeves, a ton of assets, players, can actually go build a contender for a team that is in total dysfunction, total disarray, has no defense, has no depth, no money to spend, no nothing. LeBron supposedly is willing to take a discount in the offseason, right? Just to build a contender around Luka and all this stuff. Like Lakers with Luka and Denver with Jokic, Lakers are in a better position. They have their coach for the next probably 20 years, and he's been great and looked great. The organization is willing and says that they're willing to do whatever it takes to build a contender. LeBron James is still a top 10 player and is willing to take a discount in the offseason to go bring in more talent. Salary cap increases. Luka's not going to make $60 million a year anytime soon, even on his new extension. So you're going to have even more flexibility of money that some of these other teams aren't going to have with two max guys. Austin Reeves, yes, you're going to have to give him a new contract, or you could end up trading him, right? Not saying that they should or that they will or anything like that, but that's an option on the table that teams would line up for to go and acquire him, right? Because of his age and how good he's been, right? Lakers are in a much better position than the Denver Nuggets, right? Jamal Murray, his injury issues, his recent play over the last year and a half, basically since they won a championship, right? The money he's making, he's never been an all-star, things like how many teams are lining up to take that on? Michael Porter Jr., I think, would have some value, but he's not going to have this insane superstar value. They're limited on assets, right? There's a lot. Denver can, if they were to remove, I think it's, the 2025 protections, some of that 2025, 2026 protections on one of the picks that they sent out. They could free up 2 tradable firsts and 2 swaps. They can't, they're not handcuffed to where they can't do anything, right? They're not handcuffed to where they can't make any moves and upgrade the roster in any stretch. But again, I like the position the Lakers are in. Is Luka really going to leave that to now go to Denver and, we got to figure out who the coach is, who the GM is. Are you going to be able to do anything? What are those moves? Can me and Jokic even work? Again, I'm not saying it can't. On paper, it sounds great, but we've seen it's not as simple as just putting 2 guys on the court together. Also, as much as they are friends, they also are competitors, and Luka loves to ball out against Jokic, right? Do these guys really want to team up, or do they want to, compete against each other and try to beat each other and all that stuff? Right? There's a lot of factors that go into it, a lot of things that go into that, but look, I don't think he was leaving regardless. I don't. I really trust that Luka's sticking around. Like I said, at least another 3 years, right? I think he signs that extension. I think he gets that other 3 years. If the Lakers aren't holding up their end of the deal, then I think we have a very different conversation. Then I think, 3-4 years from now, we could be talking about, hey guys, is Luka leaving? Are the Lakers going to end up losing Luka? What is going to happen here? How is this going to happen? Right? I can see the conversation, again, if the Lakers aren't a contender or aren't doing what they're supposed to be doing to maintain as contenders, I can see Luka being hey, I want to win, and I want to win more, especially if the Lakers haven't won yet, right? I could definitely see Luka being I should probably win some championships here. Now, there is also the possibility that, yes, there's this thought of, he has no ties. He has no commitment to a team. He has no loyalty to a team because he was traded to the Lakers. So, it wasn't like he chose to go to Lakers. It wasn't like he said he wanted to go to Lakers. It wasn't like he forced his way to the Lakers. It wasn't like he signed with the Lakers or anything like that, right? So there is this question of how loyal is he? But I also think you can make the argument, these European guys are very loyal. These European guys aren't guys that, Luka was heartbroken and hurt, right? The Lakers probably never trade Luka unless he asks. I mean, look, we all love Kobe Bryant, but the Lakers gave him a max, and, when everybody was this is a terrible decision for the future, right? And the Lakers didn't care because they knew what it would bring. They knew what it would do. At the time, from a Lakers standpoint, as Laker fans, we were hey, pay Kobe, right? All of us were it's Kobe deserve. If we have to sit back for 3 years and be terrible, right? We'll do it for Kobe because of what he did, what he meant, how important he was to the Lakers organization. But it also sent a signal to other stars, such as LeBron, right? That, hey, we're loyal to you. You're loyal to us. You win here. you do right by us, we're going to do right by you. We're going to take care of you, right? And that was the message that they were sending with Kobe. And it paid off, right? LeBron comes, they end up getting Anthony Davis. Now you could argue, well, they traded Anthony Davis, but again, that was for Luka. Like, I don't even think Anthony Davis was like, Anthony Davis probably like, yeah, I get it, right? Like, I don't think anyone was surprised by that, right? Other than like no one knew. But even then, like Luka, the Lakers have shown, like with LeBron, hey, you want a max? We'll give you max, whatever you want. Right? They're going to do that with Luka. So Lakers are going to have the loyalty to Luka, and they're going to have the history to point to. Right? Look at all the stars we've had, from Magic to Kareem to, Shaq to, well, I guess Shaq they traded, but, Kobe to LeBron to you, right? Like, we've done it time and time again. When you're our guy, you're good to us, you're loyal to us, we're not Dallas, we're not going to trade you, right? I don't see Luka leaving. I don't see Luka going anywhere. I don't see Luka departing or anything like that. I think it'll work out and it'll be fine. And I think Denver essentially signed off on any chance that they had of maybe getting Luka in a year or two, right? But anyway, as always, this is a discussion. I pass the question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? Phil, what are your thoughts? Do you agree with me? Disagree with me? Kind of mixed in the middle? However you feel, whatever your thoughts are. Either way, I'd love to hear it. So let me know down in the comments below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. So we enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.